Hello and welcome to this episode of NerdBytes. Today we are talking about authentication domains. This is part of a sequence of NerdBytes episodes where we'll talk about a few of the user management concepts, today's focus being authentication domains. So you can see on screen here we are in the organization and access part of the UI. I've also got the user management page open up in another tab, so we'll get to that a little bit later. For now, under organization and access, we're going to click over to authentication domain settings here. I already have a few authentication domains listed here. I've got 4. You can keep adding more. I think there's maybe a limit of 20 of these, but you can add as many as you need up until that limit. Authentication domains are essentially the way that you provision access to your users. If you have a group of employees that need access to New Relic and they have to route through your corporate SSO, great, you can set up a authentication domain to do that. I've got a couple of SSO domains here, as you can see. But if you need to bring on board some contractors to help you with some work and perhaps they can't go through your corporate SSO, maybe you want to provide them with a username and password that they will be able to log in with such that they don't need that SSO access. You can do that as well. The idea here is that you can mix and blend different authentication methods to make sure that everyone who needs access has access in the way that makes sense for them. By default, you will have a default authentication domain, and you can see that that is typically going to be username and password, and then you can set up your others with SSO authentication. As we go through here, there are a few settings that are important. First of all is the method of provisioning users. In this case, I've got this set to manual. What this means is that when I want to add a new user to my New Relic account, to this particular authentication domain, I will have to come into New Relic, over to the user management page, and I will have to add that user myself. There is the option of doing this via SCIM. That requires using the automated user management tools with Okta or Azure, or maybe a couple of others with New Relic as well. Under authentication then, we have a few options of how do we want those users to log in, either username and password or through SAML SSO. Depending on which you choose, if we go through SAML SSO, you'll see that you get a number of other settings that will allow you to set that up through your SSO provider. I'm going to leave that at username and password for now. There are a couple of other NerdBytes episodes on setting up SSO, so I refer you back to watch those if you're interested. And then we have the management side. So how long can people stay logged in? If they leave their desk and they're looking at New Relic for a long period of time and you might be concerned about other people snooping and finding your data, then you can time out and log those out after the browser has been left idle after a certain period of time. And then you have user access requests. This is basically where you may have some basic users in New Relic who try to navigate and access parts of the platform that require full user access. You have the option to automatically approve those or to force them through a review process, which will send an email to your account admins allowing them to approve or deny that request. This is a authentication domain level setting, so if you wanted to and you did have that scenario where you have contractors and employees, you could automatically approve your employees to full access, but force your contractors through a review process. Once you have your authentication domain configured here, over in user management, you have the list of domains available here. We're in our test domain. And because I chose that I want to add users through the manual method here, I have the option to add a user. So I give a name, an email, I choose which type of user I want that to be, and then I can allow that user certain levels of access through groups. Now in this case, we haven't yet set up a group. That is the next episode of NerdBytes, so come back very soon to learn more on that one. Thanks for watching.